Good. Good.
Good.
All right. Well, it looks like we've got quite a few folks, and I'm sure people will continue to join us. As a reminder, folks who may have just joined, we're recording this webinar, and we will post it to the site by Thursday. My name is Maria, and I work here in the ADS office, and I've worked with many of the show organizers on their omnibus entries for about the last year. And we are very excited tonight to talk with you about a new project that we've been engaged with to create a totally online omnibus portal. Now, I have suffered through our Band-Aid solution for the last year using an online form tool. And I apologize, it wasn't as good as it could have been, but I am really excited to share with you what we've been working on, and hopefully this will be a more permanent solution to organizers like ourselves. Me on the line tonight is Jamie from the Berry Group. He has been creating this tool for us and also working on a couple of other projects for the ES as well. It's a good time to remind everybody, go ahead and mute yourselves if you need to ask a question or something of that nature. You can unmute, speak, or you can actually enter in the, I believe it allows you to enter questions. You can use that, or you can just go ahead and talk as well. Webinar. We're going to review some deadlines. Joe is going to give an overview of the new Omnibus portal. We'll talk about form and functionality, answer any questions. So as you know, there are 2 steps for events. Well, than that, but really 2 steps that we'll talk about. Date application. This is traditionally submitted prior to your omnibus. This is your date and typically accompanied by payment. If an event to be placed on the ADS event calendar, it must be paid. And this is just kind of general information about your event and include payment. Historically, this was submitted, it could be submitted weeks or months ahead of the omnibus submission, and it still can. Talk about some of those differences going forward. Step 2 is your omnibus submission. This gives all the details about the event, anywhere from judges to schedule to says, who exhibitors should contact for what, etc. Please note that we have new dates for the omnibus submissions. Competitions January through June of a given year are due October 1st, and competitions July through December are due April 1st. So if you're on this call, you probably have an event that's July, December, and your omnibus is due April 1st. This is a deadline. Our former deadlines were based on print schedules for our magazine, and because we're handling the omnibus differently now, that you guys should have more time to work on your submissions. You can always submit them before the deadline, of course, but the deadline that we would really like to have them in hands is on the screen. With anything, dates are a guideline. Like you, it's a hard deadline, but realistically, if something happens, particularly while we are exploring new tools and we're on this journey together, we are going to be flexible. Everybody's going to have their own set of issues, and we understand that. So just keep us in the loop, communicate, and we do our best. Let's give it a try. I'm going to go over to Joe, and he's going to show you things that you now have access to.
Well, I get the. Can you see my screen now?
Not.
Okay, hang on. Let me find the right place. There we go. See it. Are you here?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all for joining, and I appreciate the opportunity to go through this with you. This omnibus was more complicated than we thought it would be when we started, so it took us a lot longer than we actually thought it would be to build it. But let me do a quick overview of some of the goals and objectives that we had in TDS folks before we actually started this piece.
Excuse me, Barry. I was just wondering if you could enlarge your screen to the full screen. I might be able to see a little bit better.
Sure.
Should add, you have the ability to, should be a little kind of arrow in your screen that you can make it full screen. I'm pretty sure.
24-inch screen right now, so I can't make it any bigger.
Thank you. Looks great. Thank you.
Okay. Real, the things that we were looking at to get this project started. We wanted to get all disciplines, 7 or 8 different disciplines that you guys have. We wanted it up so it was an integrated online process from start to finish. And that as an organizer, you only had to enter any divisions or classes one time. That you do it over and over again. And as we looked at the existing process you had, that was the things that jumped out to us, and we heard from some organizers that we talked to. Because so many variations between different divisions types, we set up an online form that not only was in one control, but you have to see the information that would relate per individual type of event. So that if you were a pleasure show, you weren't seeing things that applied to the combined shows. And so we tried very hard to make sure that what you were seeing pertained to what you were actually looking to do your omnibus. A couple of other things we wanted to do, we wanted you to be able to access the judges and the technical delegates that were authorized for your type of event and the levels that you were running within that event. So that thing I'll show you as we get further into this. We also wanted to integrate the leads and the individual discipline committees, communications and approvals of your applications and your omnibus submissions could be in a more manageable situation where being alerted by the system that there was something they needed to go check. They would have their own dashboards, go in and review what you had posted as an omnibus or date application, the approval right there, and that approval would then carry through the whole process and the status of not only the date application but the omnibus and working through the process. We realize that a lot of people, especially the Western community, are living in places where the internet access is not always terrific. What we did was we tried to break down the omnibus into chunks. Yeah. So what we tried to do is break it down into small bite-sized pieces so that you went from a page to another page in the omnibus. You everything you were doing, you were gotten to that point to the overall Omnibus database that we built, you came back to it at any given point, you were always able to pick right where you were, and you didn't lose anything. If you lost your internet connection, the most you would lose a small portion of information you had on the page you were on. That was something that was important for you guys to make it easier, and distracted and walked away, or something happened with one of the horses and you disappeared a while, and you're not going to lose everything you've already done. Part of to make these things work well for everybody in all these different events. And we've had to go back and revise some steps at the beginning, because we determined as we got further in that it wasn't working correctly, or we found a better way to work it, so we've gone back and done that. Anyway, with all that being said, we're pretty much with this. There's still some things we have to do, but I've had a team basically be on this for several days to make sure that information was carrying from page to page and from the database back into the form and so forth. Some people at ADS has asked to help us out that have gone through the forms and give suggestions. We've made most, if not all, of those suggestions. There's still some on my hit list that I'm still trying to get through. But for the most part, I think we've captured most of the things that people said, hey, this would be better if it did this next thing. Here's the way that we find this, and I'll show you the features and functionalities as we've gone through. The open offers, you're going through it yourself. If you have a question or a problem with contact information, and reach out and say, hey, this isn't working the way I would need it to work, so we make adjustments down the line as we need to, or if something just isn't working, I'll go figure out where the problem's coming from and fix it while I've got you on the phone. And that's all of you whenever you want to do it, and we pretty much never close, unfortunately. We're with the workload that we have and the things that we're doing, we're around, so don't look at it like, well, it's 5 o'clock. Everyone, we work from home because the agency is a virtual agency. It really doesn't matter what the time is. We're happy to help you wherever you are, whenever you need help. Things that's important to understand and how we've built this is to be able to use it, you need to be logged into this website, and Maria will give you that address at the end of the session. But come to the website and you come to the home page for the site, you'll log in a section. The first won't do this for me because I'm logged in, but you want to click on the register button and set yourself up as a new user for this site. For your email address, it'll ask you for a password and a first and last name. I haven't been on that for a bit. That you'll basically become a registered user of the site, and anything you do beyond the business from this point forward will be captured and linked to your email address. So whenever you come back to the site, and it will bring the information I'm about to show you, but it only brings up your information. It doesn't anything else's. Just that you've been working on, the applications that you've done, and these you've either started or completed. So after you've registered as a user and you're logged in, or you come in after you've done that process and you log back in, and you get this. You'll come to this. It'll automatically take you to this page, which is the organizer's Omnibus portal. Of things on this page. There's a button you can use to start a data application, and in a minute. There's a table down below that shows you all of the different data applications that you've submitted. Status, it gives you the status of the data application itself, whether it's been approved, yes, and paid for, or it's still waiting for approval. It tells you where you are on the Omnibus for that specific event. And there's right side that lets you say, I want to start this Omnibus, I want to complete an Omnibus I've already started, or in case of one that you've already gone through, completed, and it's marked as completed, you can go back in to revise it. The portion of this hasn't been set yet because we needed to make all the forms work first, be back and duplicated them so that they became the revision form, because there are things on the omnibus that once it's been approved are not going to be able to be changed by guys. They're going to need interaction with the ADS office to make some of those changes. And I've got to identify with Stacy and Maria what's available to change after it's been approved and isn't. And we'll set up a special series of forms that will be duplicates of but some of the fields won't be actionable for you in interaction with the ADS office. Okay? So you'll see the things change along this. The statuses will change, and the buttons that you have access to change based on where you are in the process. The whole process starts with the date application. So let me go back and I'll start a date application, and you'll see up on the bottom of the list that we have right now. To start a date application, just click on this button. It'll load the date application page. It's for all the different information you'd fill in on the existing date application that you have: the start date, the end date, the name of the competition, all that has anything to do with your competition in terms of the users that are running it, where it's being held, when your omnibus, when your entries open, when they close, the whole yard. Have multiple organizers, and yes, it will open up and give you information to fill in the second organizer's information if there is one. But just for the sake of showing what this is, webinar, the name of this competition, and today's date, and it ends on Saturday, just as a way to start the whole process. One thing that we've done down here is we've listed all of the different types of competition that you can do in ADS. You guys sometimes run multiple types of events within the same competition, and this allows you to do that without doing multiple forms if you have multiple types within the same event that you're running. So if you have any of these, it will then open up the different types of you could run within that specific event. And it will do all of them. They've all got different variations to them. Pleasure driving has stuff that's completely different than everybody else. But if these things off and say, here's what I want to do, it will then be able to populate those throughout the entire form all the way through the omnibus. You have to enter this information again. You do it once and you're done. It's asking how long your event will run, and you check off whatever it is that you're running. If the event is $200, when you've done that and you've selected what you want to run it, where it's going to be, you just click next. A summary or a checkout page. It will take information that you've filled in, and on the last one I didn't fill in very much. And it's on this page so you can take a look at it and see what you're doing. It will show divisions that you've chosen for the different types of events that you've selected on the previous page, and what your bill will be based on the fact that you said this competition in this case was going to last for 3 days. Okay? You have the ability, if you see that you've missed something, you want to go back, you can click on this go back to revise the date application. It will take you back to the page, information that you have entered onto that page you want, and come, for whatever the situation is that you changed. And I should have checked off some of the dates. I didn't realize it wasn't picking those up on the way back through. Do that real quick just so you can see where we are. So a couple of different to the checkout page. Right now, we're aware that you're So it's bringing these pieces of information in from the other page. You have the option of paying a check or by credit card. Right now, we're setting up the credit card, and we're in the process of setting it up to accept credit card payments through Authorize.net. That probably won't be completely actionable until next Monday. So we're still trying to wire together on the back end to make all of that work. If you, and I know this is the case with some of you, if you've already done a data application, you've sent check-in, in order to get information into the system, what we're going to do is fill out the application I just showed you. Then when you come to the point where you're ready to pay, even though you've already paid, just as you've already paid, give us the check number so this is up in the office, and then click on Pay by Check button. And it will submit the data application so it's now in the system of your name, and you get the electronic omnibus, the online omnibus from that point. If the card, until we have the Authorize.net thing set up, if you want to do a date app in the next couple of days, I'll process the credit card payment over the phone. We have the Authorize.net situation resolved. You won't message, it'll just basically give you the button that says pay with a credit card. So pay by check field. So let me go back here, figure out where those are coming from right now, but that event to the bottom of your list of events that you're working on. So you go back to this Omnibus portal page to be able to that you put in. For the we're going to do, we've actually set up for testing purposes several event types and only put in information that applies to them. And I'll show you where the differences lie. And the form, so the pages are the same for everybody, but some of the pages will be radically different depending on what you're doing, whether it's a CBE or a pleasure or a saw show or whatever. So starting, let's just go to a CBE event that I started a while ago. You can see all the information that I put in on the original data application. It's that information up. One of the things that I want to point out is every time you start a new omnibus, it will have a number to it, and that's the row number it has in the database. If you ever have a problem, that's what I'm going to need to find out from you so I can go through and see this. That's causing difficulty. So this number, and this information you'll see appear at the top of every page as we go through. You'll see most of this information on the location and the organizers and so forth on the first page. The only selections you have on the first page are classes that you want to run and the term you want to do. And something like recreational won't even appear at that point. So we're from the very beginning, we're customizing it so you only see the pieces that you have to see as you're going through it. If here that you see that doesn't apply to your discipline, we've made fields required, so you just go past it without worrying about it. So if you've missed that shouldn't be there, don't hesitate to go past it. There will be things as I go through with ADS to figure out the things that are required, and we'll have those indicated so that you get past them without filling them in because they're required for whatever purpose. But if it doesn't apply to your event, you should be able to get past it and make sure that those are set up properly. Or that you've picked the classes and the turnouts that you want on this page, click Proceed. The next page, but also capture the information you just put in. And I'm going through right now an event I've already filled out completely in the testing that we've done. You can see the information as we start to travel through. But again, the event information will always be up at the top, and you know where you are and what event you're actually working on. Okay. This is simple information on the secretary, name, address, the phone number they can be contacted, how you want entries to be accepted, what you're driving entries, which is an online entry system that we've been running for the last couple of years. Want it to mail to the organizer or mail to the secretary. Done making those selections and filling in that information and to the page where you can select your official. have, we've linked this page to the table that we built for ADS. So we've got so that the combined driving events, the people that need CDJs or US CDJs or US or CDTs would have got an event that those type of registered officials. If you're driving and you've got a completely different set of lists of people, do that piece of information as well. Let me show you the judges that are appropriate for the competitions that you're running. Let me give you one. I'll take a step back for 1 second and show you something else. The bottom of every one of the Omnibus pages, you'll see a shortened version of the table you saw on the Omnibus portal. And it basically is giving you all the events that are linked to your email address and you need to refresh that page. If you wait for a long period of time, the server will lose the connection with what Omnibus you're working on. The fact of how the internet works. As a connection, you go to do something, it's not going to know where it is or what you're asking it to do. Everything we do in this system is tied into your email address and this office number that is tied when you first when you click on the button on this page. So if you ever lose connection with where you are and you see a red error message, and I'll show you one of those in a second, all you have to do is click the refresh button for whatever you're working on, and it will bring it right back. And just to show you how that works, if you look at these judges that I have on the screen, Debbie Field and Melissa Boyd, those are being pulled from the CDJ list of officials. But if I do a pleasure driving event, and I click refresh and I was working through a pleasure driving event, you'll see that the judges have changed, because for the pleasure driving, I have a completely different set of judges that I can pull from. And the TDs for driving, the ones that are registered and reported for that are in some different than what's available for the combined people. Or we're only showing you the people that you can pick that make sense for the organization that you're doing. So those are the ways that we can do that. But if you ever have a problem, well, let me show you what the problem looks like. Don't panic when you see it, because if it pops up, it tends to be a little jarring. And I'm just going into the settings of this thing, so I basically lose the connection. If you see right now where there was an ID before, there isn't. Where there was up here before, there now isn't. And it is the information that was previously put in there. So if I went to save and proceed and I'd lost the connection, give me a big red error message. Message like this, it says it has a problem executing it. What you have to do is click on the refresh button. It pulls up the information and to the next page because it knows where I'm supposed to be. By the time you hit the back button, it will read your page and bring you up on the correct piece on before as well. Forward and backward in this, we're going to be based on the situation at hand. And if you have that blue message that I showed you or a giant red message at the bottom, don't refresh and you'll be okay, and it'll bring all your information right back in. Okay? So moving forward, when we go to the next, the Omnibus page, the fee is set up so the fee and an ADS competitive fee for each the division that you're running. Whenever you select it all the way back in the date app, you'll start this as being carried through in the that is displayed, so that you only have to worry about putting in the prices for the individual levels that you're running. In this, and I'll show you a blank form, but there are entry fees for the individual event and ADS fees, and let me give you these so you can see them. Competitive fees. If you're down in the FEI situation, you see in the drug fee. More fees that I have to have in here, I can certainly add them. see the divisions that you've selected on the date app and nothing else. Everyone will see this information at the bottom of the fees page in terms of what to charge competitors if it's a post-entry and what defines a post-entry. So these are fields that you can fill in on your own, whatever details you want as you're going through filling out the omnibus. You can ship fees, stall fees, you can define what the stalls are, whether they're portables or permanents or, however you want to define it. And all the information at the end of the whole process will be brought into the actual omnibus that's for people. If you don't have an entry refund policy or else, it's blank and it will stay blank. If you want to come back to it later, you can only do that. So we tried to make it so that everything you do carries forward and backward. You never have to redo anything along the way. In the process, specifications or the competition specifications, whatever you want to call it. With a pull-down list that you can do of the individual tests, whatever the situation may be, because I know you all have radically different competition information in terms of what you guys are using on a regular basis. So we're pulling from the ADS, from either the ADS or the FBI site, whatever tests you're supposed to do in that specific level. To this page, each of the training areas, or arenas, each of the arena sizes can be defined per individual division. Give you maximum flexibility. If you've got different sizes for different things, you can put them in. In the driving end of this thing, it gets a little more complicated when you start talking about the FEI 1-star or FEI 2-star. So we've asked the question, do you have two different dressage tests, or do you have different dressage based on whether they're singles, pairs, or four in hand? Say yes, it's several different tests that you can pull from based on singles, pairs, four in hand for horses, or horse four in hand, pony four in hand. So maximum flexibility to whatever that you're looking to do. If there aren't different tests for these different classes, and now you've got a simple list for the FEI 2-star. For marathon, where marathon is involved, the ability to select the number of sections, you're going to run, and the number of obstacles that you're going to make your people face. They'll all be blank when you get to them the first time, and you have a choice of what number you want that goes in here. And if I have these wrong in terms of the numbers that are in here, and it's easy for me to change them so they'll be accurate to what you're looking for. That the marathon would be held on. Down to the cone section for a lot of the combined driving situations, it asks you whether it's a minimum clearance, a standard cone setting, or a standard width. So you can pick that for each individual as you're going through. It asks you whether there's bridges involved, whether there's water obstacles involved. But customize the system so that it only applies to what you want to see. Pleasure driving is vastly different than combined driving. I really didn't know before, but do now. Refresh the page, or you're coming through doing a pleasure driving event, you're not going to see any of the tests. You're not going to see the cones. You're not going to see the on portion of it. But set this up so you've got your standard classes that you guys run. They check off. But we've also need the ability to put in house roles. And you house role, if you want to add 2, you click on the button, now you have 2, and you can tell what the rules are for those individual house rules for each level 2, whether it's VSE, whether it's pony, horse, junior, etc. So all customized based on the type that you're running. So you guys are having, if you're doing pleasure, you're not having to see all the stuff that the combined driving or the dressage people or anybody else is doing. It's designed for you, but it's all on the same page. It's simply giving you the information that you need so that you go through and as quickly as possible do whatever event event that you want as you're working through the process. Provide what it is that you're, what the classifications are going to be for your competition. It'll get you to the next page, stabling accommodation. And it will ask you for the type of information, in terms of what kind of stalls it is. It will ask you for when the stalls open, and I haven't gotten to fix the formatting on these two yet. I'm going to get to that later this evening. But you can say when the stalls are going to open, close. So if you're offering camping for people, you've got the ability to tell them that it is on ground, or it's both on and off. If you say on ground, it will then open up and say, okay, well, what is on-site camp cost? That it starts, what's that it ends, and additional nights. So you can simply enter that information. A lot of these fields we've set up are contain anywhere from 1 to 3 fields. That's specific. You could say it costs $5 for an extra night, and I hit the so it's taking me someplace else. Put in $5 here and go to the next field, and it's going to $5. So it doesn't matter whether it's $5, $10, or $100, or up to $999. I can't imagine you're going to charge more for an extra night. Set it up so that there's a minimum of 1, maximum of 3 in most cases. It's the ability to say whether you've got what you've got for electricity, whether you have water, or if you have is primitive that there is, that neither of these would be there. So it gives you the ability to check whatever it is that you want to do. If you've got hotels that you're working with, you can enter information here. If you have directions to the show, you can enter the information there. So the final step, or not the final step, but the next step, is identify when the stables will open, the secretary's office opens. There are a couple of fields I'm supposed to add back in here that I just hadn't gotten to yet. One is the briefing. It also gives you the ability to say that you're going to have a party or a social event. You can indicate what that is. You can indicate what the time, when that starts, what's on, and what time it starts. Information can be filled in as well as you're going through the whole process. Save and proceed from here. You get typically the final page of the omnibus. It asks you whatever vet or health requirements you've got, whether it be Coggins or health certs or whatever you need. It tells you, say that you've got food on the grounds and when that food would be. The last step in this whole process is to take the info you've got and submit it to the TD, submit it to ADS, and as a completed omnibus on your portal. So it allows point to basically be finished. You can make changes throughout by using the back button. I will tell you that if you click on the normal button, that you go back a page within an internet site, you'll lose connection to the omnibus number and end up having to refresh the page. So if you want to traverse the site backwards and forwards, it's the back button that's down here, or the submit button, or the receive button on the previous pages to go where you go. Done. I mean, you can read the terms and conditions if you want. They're the standard ones that are on your information now. But when you click submit, it will connect the information on the last couple of pages to the database. If your omnibus isn't going to post until the appropriate people within AS and the DISTs and the TDs have reviewed it, that status will then update on the omnibus portal that we mentioned earlier. We'll also have this link up here for the top for the omnibus portal, so you can click on that to go back. You get right back to where you are. Because I completed the pleasure driving event and I clicked on the last button, it's the status from complete this omnibus to revise this omnibus. And as I said at the beginning of this, it won't be done till this weekend. We just needed to finalize all the forms first before we duplicating them, or we'll be chasing down changes through multiple pages. And fun that would be, I'd rather not do that. The ability to go in on the data application, they will have their own data in here that we have security protected that they can get to. On that dashboard, they will be able to, when they've received your data app and checked it, and they've received your payment, they'll be able to change the status from awaiting approval to approved. What happens in the process of Omnibus is on where you are. As soon as you've started an Omnibus, because you get past the first page of it, it needs the status to start it. If you haven't started one yet, it won't just come up as a not started yet status. On the button to say start an Omnibus, and you can save and proceed on the very first page of that Omnibus. But the walkthrough of it, there's two other visions that I need to get up here. One is creational, one is continuous. They shouldn't take very long to do. That we've been doing have been so much more complicated that they just took up way more time than we expected them to. But within the next 24 to 40 hours, I'll have the rest of those all up there. Right now is developmental portal. That the address of it is omnibus.pbgwebsites.com, as in the Berry Group websites.com. Log in there to be able to use them. When we get, as I said, we're doing other work for ADS as well. We're in the process of finalizing a site for you guys. Once that goes live, we move all of these pages over to that website, so you'll only have one place to go. And certainly the ADS office will let you know when that happens. We'll also, when we do that move, we'll take the information from this site, and it's going to the same database, so you won't lose anything. We'll have a notice on this one that the Omnibus has been moved to the ADS Live site, and that's be able to access it over there. I'm open to any and all questions, and fire.
Are function, and some of them are, kind of unique to some shows, but some, I think, are for the group. That asks, we have club non-member fees and California-specific fees. Is there a way that we can add sort of fees, maybe like a plus sign where they could add an additional fee or something to that effect?
We put it up in such a way, if there's something specific that you can tell me, that based that we can feel that based state with on the data application.
Research whether or not California is the only state, but I guess the question is fee.
Sure. We can add blank stuff.
Okay. All right. That's good to add.
Okay.
In case it has like an in-house fee that they need to charge.
Have that kind of information, and there'll be two where we could have more information there where they would have the amount and the description of what the amount was for.
Great suggestion, like an other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. The arena size questions coming in, and we'll have to work on that together. Sometimes V's use a smaller arena and potentially even a different course on the marathon. We'll have to, we may be coming from Doug, or we may reach out to you specifically, Doug, for help on that.
Yeah, it needs to be structured. We can certainly structure it. That's not an issue.
Great to everybody that's on the call. This journey, it's a process, and you're with us. and you're going to find things that we didn't think about, and that's why you guys are such a valuable group, and we will best to iron out all the things. But Joe said earlier, we've beat this thing a lot, and we're pretty happy with the results so far.
The question? Can Joe please repeat the site name again?
I'm going to put this on our website as well for everybody to have, but it's Omnibus BG.
Since we now have the ability to be entering all of this on an automated basis going forward, how can you send in a date application? Can you register for 2017?
From an administrative standpoint, I would say yes, to make sure that we have the infrastructure built in on GIDE. See any problem with it, Joe? Any back to that end?
No, we set up all the date fields that you can fill in that they give you this year and the 5 years following this year.
It's done, guys. It really is a very impressive, and I'm looking forward to using it.
Okay.
This is Susan Coso. Can you hear me? Out all the cones classes for pleasure driving, all the pleasure drive, and also there are shows that are massage classes. So that needs to be added too. I don't know if I left out all the cones classes. That's in the
I misunderstood when I had the conversation with Jeff Morse. Because we talked in the last couple of days, and I may just have misunderstood what he was telling me. The cones classes are still, they're tech. I just hid them.
we need.
There's a lot. My daughter's an eventer, so I know about eventing, but I know very little about driving. So there's pieces of this I've heard of before. They'll be back in no time at all.
Pleasure drives, they need there too, and also the opportunity to do dressage classes. Advanced.
When they're training through advanced, are they doing the same that you would do in a CDE? Are they all the same?
Yes.
Okay, that's easy enough.
Yeah, just looking here at a question from Katie Morgan regarding different levels. There are 2 levels, and we'll review those. Kate, I'm sorry, I said Katie. Kate, we will review those and make sure that we haven't left any out.
Which level are we talking about?
Kate says, I saw Intermediate 2, but not Preliminary 2 as a division. Preliminary 2, an allowed division. Interpretation to the CDE side, I know has changed a lot in the last couple of years. I'll work with Mark Johnson on that to make sure we can accommodate. The other thing is, we change a lot of this stuff on the fly. If we left something out and it needs to be there, we can definitely add.
This is Ann. Can you show us what the final product will look like?
Your competitors? No, that's the next piece of the puzzle. To get all the files, all of the fields in here first, to pull that information together. So to do before we got to today, because I in all the pleasure driving stuff last night and this morning. But we're at a point where most 9% of the stuff is in there. We go through, and it won't take me very long to set up what the final product will look like that you guys would see and what your competitors would see. I haven't put that together because it's been too fluid up until now. The complexity that we found when we got deep into this was just more than we expected. So we're willing to get everything in to make sure it all worked for all the different divisions. And the last piece of that puzzle was the actual physical omnibus, and that's long. Now that we've got everything locked down and all the fields are in place.
Okay, look a little bit better than the last one.
I won't take offense to that. But we're a company that is actually an advertising agency. So whatever we do is going to be as pleasing as we can possibly make it.
Can you? Pleasure driving. I didn't see super rainsmanship classes listed. Maybe it just went by too fast and I couldn't see them.
Hang on. Times today, so I know it's there.
Oh, okay.
Hang on. Let me get back. Let's go back and make sure we're all on the line. And I've interpreted what I was told correctly. That's all.
Yeah.
We have the same 9 classes in every group.
But then, like, my, classes and the drive classes. And
all I need is someone to tell me what information goes in those. We've already the fields are already there for them because we were one of we basically ran the testers through the CDE process because it was the most complicated. And they were done. We started duplicating forms to build everything out. The pleasure stuff that I have here was massively different than everything else. So that was built as a standalone unit page. But I mean, all of the information that you guys are talking about for cones, it can literally come back this quickly. Just the right thing, and you guys have the right that I'm pulling the information up.
traditional one, what that was.
I can either.
Non-traditional vehicle.
Yes. Just for my own curiosity, I want to find it. What does that mean?
Marathon vehicle would be an example.
That have classes for, vehicles, non-traditional vehicles, et cetera. So I think that division would accommodate those folks.
Right. Because I really misunderstood what Jeff told me yesterday. I had replaced the cones division for pleasure, but they're easy enough to bring back without trouble. It's the same things in terms of number of segments. Just to make sure I'm looking at the right stuff.
They're the same as CDEs. No, they don't have the same clearances. They don't use the same speeds.
We'll have to look into that.
Yeah, they can just tell me what they should be. Get to me. Set it up so that for any of the pleasure driving things where you have cones, we can, however it matches what you guys need.
Yeah. And we're a team here, right? So if you see specific things, call them out to my attention, and I'll pass them on to Joe. We need Joe to read our rule book cover to cover. For that. Another thing coming from Lori Renda. Once things are approved and it has finalized, organizers be able to change certain aspects. So, for example, oftentimes change or some type of accommodation at the show may change, schedule may change, something like that. So the organizer would have to go and right now they let us know and we make the changes manually, but the idea is for folks to be able to make changes themselves. So Joe, could you talk a little bit about that process?
Sure. Once you've completed an omnibus and let me go back to the main page, the organizer's omnibus portal. Once you've completed it, when we were here a minute ago, it said revise this omnibus. When you go back to revise the omnibus, my understanding is that there are things that you can change without ADS or T approval, and there are things that you can't change. I don't know what those things are, and what I wanted to be able to do with the ADS guys is walk with Maria and Stacy and say, okay, what change, what can they not change? And we'll structure the revised form so that it only allows you to change the things that affect the approval process. And if it's something that needs approval, we're going to have to put a process in place by which you request a change that needs approval. But my intention is that for anything that doesn't require approval, the omnibus form that you go through will let you change anything anywhere you want that doesn't require kind of approval.
Those changes, at least for the online version, would those be in real time, or how
Yes.
would those take effect online?
So we're structuring this, and the next piece of the puzzle that I have to build is the actual omnibus that I think Ann was asking about before. This itself will be dynamic in that when you click on the button that says "Give me this omnibus," into the space and populate the omnibus with the exact information that is current at that moment in time. So you can omnibus, a PDF is developed, and everybody's working off that PDF. It will give you a PDF, but the PDF, the information that's current as of the moment you click the button that says "I want this PDF," for your competitors or whatever else. It'll be completely dynamic. That was one of the objectives of the whole process, was that you didn't have to go through multiple steps to get something to work. To someone, as soon as omnibus goes live, it's accessible and up to the minute.
Next question is coming from Doug Orr. How will the TDs receive their approve shows?
When you get to the end of the omnibus, the very last page, and you click on submit, generate an email to the ADS office telling you that you've completed an omnibus. It will send a link to the T user that sits on the LOC file, the official file. They get that information and send them an email that basically says it will pull your information and the times and the other information from your omnibus. So-and-so has submitted this omnibus and have indicated that you're their TD. We go to the website, and they will have login privileges to a specific portal where they call up your omnibus. They can check it. They can ask you questions or disapprove it, depending on what the situation may be. We'll give them all those options. And one of the pieces that we have to add to this chart that you're seeing on the screen now will be approval status. And they've either not looked at it, they've looked at it and made changes, they've looked at it and approved it, or they've looked and gone back to the organizer because something massive had to change. So that's all that will be added to this.
make sure that everybody understands, you as organizers do not need to send this to a TD. Based on your selection, based on TD selection in the omnibus, it will automatically sent to them.
So page where you're picking officials, working in the background is as soon as you tell me that, or you tell the system it's going to be your TD, get to the end of the process, it will have carried Greg Cutler all the way through, and based on who the TD is identified as, it will email to them all the information on this event. Once we set it up so the omnibus is actually in the normal booklet format, we can attach the same piece of information as a PDF to the email that goes to the TD, so that they don't have to go log in to review it. They can basically look at it as a PDF in a Form 2 and then go back to the website, link in the email that they get that will take them right to the page that they need to go to approve it.
Along those lines, Joe, got another question regarding judges that have reciprocal certifications be visible on the judge pick list. And I think we'll need to work through the list of that. But Dan is that, yeah, do our best to accommodate all judges event.
As long as there's the LOC table or another table that I can access, we can make them available without a problem. Everything that's in here is dynamic based on what, so it doesn't matter to us what the is. It's pulling only those people from those specific columns of the licensed official table.
Or excuse me, are there any additional questions that anybody has at this time?
Do we need to redo it if we did the old version?
If you have already submitted your omnibus for, is this Lori speaking?
Yes.
Okay. So your omnibus is already posted online because you completed it last time. So I would say.
This looks like it has more detail. But
yep. So Lori, I would say you do not need to.
I mean, people are calling me right now.
Thank you.
Any other?
Log out. Thank you.
Huge.
I'm trying to find who so I can mute them.
Words of Alaska. Really.
Okay. Any other questions for the? Okay, we have recorded this webinar. It will be posted. And I have also saved, we have one more question coming from Maureen Grippa, a horse driving trial category. Joe, I believe that is one of our categories, trial. I just see you. Okay. Maureen, comments, and to Kate, we will look into that. I'm going to put my email in the chat. And thank you so much for your attention. I'm going to post.
Can I say one more thing before we go?
Yes, please.
Ways that we thought about when we built this. As a group, my company has been doing the online entries for driving shows as well as eventing shows and hunter jumpers and some other things. The Omnibus that we've built will actually tie in perfectly to the system that we have to entries, driving events of any kind of type. So it's basically, because they're all pulling from the same server, the data talk to one another. And if you wanted to be able to do an online entry form, I'm happy to walk you through what we've done and how we set it up and how it works for organizers as well as the competitors. But we've been fine-tuning that program for the last year and a half now. We haven't gone out to all the organizers yet, only because we wanted to make sure it was working properly. And when we started into this process, we decided to wait to be able to tie what we've done here with the Omnibus so it actually transfers right into an online application, an online entry form. If any of you are interested, please reach out to me. We've got the website called drivingentries.com, and we'd love to talk to you about how we can help you do online entries for whatever shows you have coming up in the future.
I will record everyone's questions, and I will create a Q&A document that will be posted along with the recording of the webinar. Email, and please don't hesitate to give me a ring. I will post the link to the Omnibus on our website before I leave this evening, so those of you that want to go in and poke around, please feel free to do so. You in the system now will translate over the site is even for everybody's use. So you enter something tonight because you're so jazzed up about the Omnibus, you will going anywhere. It will stay there. And the only little slight hiccup that we're having is the ability to take credit card payments at this moment. But we will be able to do those by Monday. So you can just go ahead and select the check option tonight, and you can get after it as soon as possible.
You're going along and you have an issue or a comment or a suggestion on how we can make something better, please reach out and let us know. Happily make it work. This is for you guys. It's not for me. So something that we've done that doesn't make sense for the way you guys work or the way you think, we're happy to go in and change it within whatever confines we can to make it's going to work and be the best it can possibly be for all of you. And we've got different needs, and we'll try to accommodate as much of that as we can.
Everybody for your attention. We will be in touch. Thank you.
Thanks.